right. So, last but not least, the CSLO essay that is posted in the EMS, also posted on the website. It is one of the bigger point assignments. It's worth 20 points. The case studies and the assignments are only worth a smaller percentage. The CSLO essay is worth a higher percentage. It's worth 20 points. I want to go over a few things about it to clarify a few points based upon some comments that I've had from my other classes that I've been dealing with, similar comments and similar questions. So I want to kill a couple birds with one stone here. So it's posted out there. It's due on August 22nd, after we take the final, actually, if we do it on the 19th. So you're going to pick one of the topics here. So there's 10 topics. The 10th topic says write on an engineering management topic of your choice. So that's the default. If you don't like any of the other topics, pick number 10. Pick any topic that was covered in the class and provide an overview of it. So it means if you pick number 10, you have to pick something related to something I touched upon. I may not have been able to touch upon it too much. In fact, you could write on databases if you wanted to, because I did talk about databases. You could write about cloud computing if you wanted to. You could write about anything I've covered, actually, or will cover within the next couple weeks. So you're writing 2 to 3 page double spaced. It's really 1 to 2 pages single spaced. You think about the double space concept? Now here's the thing. So this is one of the questions, and believe it or not, somebody even today asked me. She's not sitting in here today, right now. Actually, it may have been over the weekend. Let me not necessarily break more rules today. Use your own writing doesn't mean your own handwriting. You may use a word processor and you may type the answers, but use your own words. So the words are coming out of your own head and not somebody else's head, or writing that exists already. Cannot include portions of cut and pasted from the internet or other sources. We don't have a textbook for this course, but in my operating systems class, people kept asking me, well, can I use the definitions out of the book? If you're going to use a source of information, and the source of information is not from your own head, it's coming from a source, like a book or an internet website or something. If you're copying it word for word, you must provide quotation marks around the content that you're referencing, along with a reference citation to tell me which source it came out of. Your references that you're creating cannot be more than 2 sentences in length. So you can't take an entire page out of the book, put a quote on the top, quote on the bottom, and say it came out of this book, and use it in your word count. No, trust me, I've seen this before. You can't do that. And actually, somebody asked me if they could do that. You can't do that. So take the opportunity, elaborate on one of these topics here. I'll just briefly go over the topics in a few minutes here. In your own words, not cutting and pasting. If it's in your own words, not cut and pasted, represents your own writing, you'll get 100% on it. If it's not your own words, any portion of it, let it only be 3 sentences that was copied from another source and was not referenced. Or any reference that's more than 2 sentences in length, but you put quotes around it, you made it into a reference, is a 0 on the assignment. So there's like a no tolerance here. So write it yourself. Quote stuff, make sure it's no more than 2 sentences quoted. That does not mean one quote with 2 sentences. You can have multiple of that, as long as, and here's the catcher, 70% or more of the paper is written by you that's not quoted. So if you're going to use an elaborate amount of referenced material into the paper, but you're only going to use 2 sentences maximum at a time, make sure that you only do that 30% of the time in the paper, which means it's about, well, let's say if it's going to be a 3-page paper, well, let me go back down to single spacing. So you've got 2 pages. It's about 2 pages, single space or so. So I imagine, 70% of that, which take off half of a page, of 1 page. You're looking at less than 2 paragraphs of quoted material. So you could probably fit, what, 5 lines in a paragraph, 2 paragraph, 10 lines. About 5 quotes is what that roughly is equivalent to. 5 quotes of 2 sentences in length. It's about all you want to do. So the paper's not a quoting exercise. It's a writing exercise. Do we have any questions on the content, or excuse me, on the format of this? Yes?
All your papers, you have to use APA formatting or?
Ah, any format you want.
Okay.
You don't have to use APA. If you know APA, use APA.
You told that we have to use APA formatting.
Yeah, here you don't have to do it. You just use anything you want.
Okay.
If you know APA, use APA. That's a good idea. Unfortunately, the school hasn't decided on a standard format yet. So one of these days we will, and when we do that, we'll have everything in MLA, APA, whatever it is that we're going to use. A little word on the, a little thing on the questions. Some of the questions are longer than some of the other questions. Some of the questions might contain parts that you don't like. So you can always go down to question number 10 and use that as the default. So as an example, question number 1 might say, what is engineering management? That's a tough one to answer, actually. What does it mean to be an engineering manager? What are some EM jobs currently on the market? Well, maybe you don't want to talk about jobs in the market. You don't have to talk about jobs in the market. That's optional. So you could take parts of the questions. These are put up here for some ideas. You could just talk about engineering jobs in the market. You can do an entire CSLO essay on available jobs on the market if you wanted to. You can use it, as a theme. Or you could discuss the topic of project management, like in question number 2. Or you can talk about systems development lifecycle. Number 3 is basically on that lecture I just finished today, on software development lifecycle models. Or number 4, explaining the process of management and decision making. That's actually next week's lecture, artificial intelligence and decision making. Or identifying and discussing various factors that influence the selling price of a product or a service. Take a business angle on that. Or some part of it, or twist it around and make it into another part. We're actually covering all of these topics throughout the various different lectures, so it's all based on topics. Or if there's another topic, you can go down to 10, write on anything we covered in the class. Anything related to engineering management. Even if I just, you don't even have to prove that I've mentioned it. As long as it's an engineering management topic, then it's approved ahead of time, so you don't actually have to tell me which one you're going to do, and you don't have to tell me which option you've chosen or anything like that. If you want some suggestions, you can send me an email message. I can say, oh, that's a good topic, or that's not a good one. Or, and a lot of people are taking me up on this, which is a great idea. You finish writing the CSLO, you can send it to me and say, hey, what do you think of this? Will this earn me full points? And I can look at it. And as long as nobody else has turned in the same identical paper, then I don't know that till you turn it in. Then I'll respond back and say, hey, yeah, it's perfect. Upload it into the EMS, you're done, kind of thing. If you want to double check it as well. That's for those people who don't know, because what I'm giving you is a lot of freedom, and you may not necessarily trust what it is you're doing, and you might not want to know. You might want to know ahead of time before you turn it in, if that's what I'm looking for. Not due till this 22nd of August. Now, do we have any questions, comments, or concerns? Did I leave anything else out? No? We're all done for today then. Okay, now we're done. Okay, now we can go. And this video is politically correct and able for all viewing audiences.